Hello, and a warm welcome to today's workshop on 3 practical ideas to use assessments in your classroom. We are thrilled to have you all here, and we're excited for the learning, sharing, and interactions we'll have over the next 1 hour. Before we can begin with the workshop, I would like to take you through the housekeeping rules. To make this a safe place for everyone, do not put any personal information, contact details, or promotional messages in the Zoom chat box or in the comments section in the Facebook Live session. Please be polite and considerate of others in the chat or in comments. Keep your microphones and cameras off at all times. Moderators may remove participants who disrupt the session. We are inclusive. This session has 2 sign language interpreters from Signable. We have Sonal and Emma. If you have any accessibility requirements, please contact us at teachenglish.india@britishcouncil.org. Safeguarding announcement. During this online event, to report a concern, please contact the Safeguarding Focal Point at namrata.kodri@britishcouncil.org. You can also report incidents anonymously using www.safecall.co.uk/report/. We request you to engage with the session today. To do that, please think about how you can apply the content to your context. Of course, there will be time for Q&A at the end. Zoom participants can add questions to the Q&A section throughout. Please ensure that you post your comments to everyone. Facebook audiences can post their questions in the comments. The speakers will be answering as many questions as possible from the Zoom chat as well as the Facebook comments. In order to receive your certificate for attending today's workshop, please follow the rules. Click on the link that we will share in the chat box or in the comment section towards the end of the workshop today. Complete the form. Once you've completed it, click on the submit button. Remain on the screen. You will get a link which will take you to the certificate. Please download the certificate. The certificate will be an editable PDF version, so you should delete the text which says name and surname and put your own name and surname there. And then please do remember to save your certificate. These are some additional links for your information. You will find the PDFs of the presentation for today's workshop on this link. The PDFs of earlier workshops have also been uploaded here. The presentation will be up on this YouTube playlist as well, along with the video. The video recordings of earlier webinars have also been uploaded here. With that, I officially welcome you to the first Teaching English Teacher Connect workshop of 2025. Today's workshop is designed to support teachers with understanding 3 practical techniques that will involve using your students actively in the assessment process. It will make assessment a more integral and reflective part of your classrooms. We look forward to engaging discussions and valuable takeaways from all our participants as well. Before we can start, let me introduce you to today's speakers. Our first speaker for today is Chitra Jain. Chitra is a freelance education consultant with a CELTA certification from the University of Cambridge. As a consultant for the British Council, she has participated in various research, training, and evaluation projects related to teacher education. She has delivered several impactful webinars on ELT techniques for teacher and teacher educators, including how to use strategies in the classroom to enhance attention and improve listening, and how do I bring the real world into my classroom. Both of these are available on our British Council YouTube playlist. A committed volunteer, Chitra also supports youth from underprivileged background in developing workplace communication skills. Our second speaker for today is Professor Prithvirajsingh Thakur. Prithviraj is an experienced English teacher with 2 decades of teaching under his belt. With a doctorate in translation studies and with interests in ELT, teacher development, translation studies, and Shakespeare, Dr. Prithviraj has worked with students from diverse backgrounds. As a recipient of the British Council Scholarship, in March 2025, he completed his Masters of Science in TESOL and Computer Assisted Language Learning from the University of Stirling in UK. Besides this, Prithviraj loves to write about books, people, and ideas. With that, I invite Chitra to take us through the session. Over to you, Chitra.
Thank you very much, Titiksha. Let me start sharing my screen. Please let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes, Chitra, we can see your screen.
All right. Good evening, everyone. We welcome all the participants who have joined through Zoom and Facebook Live. I'm Chitra.
And I'm Prithviraj. Together, we will take you through this journey of assessment. The topic of today's workshop is 3 practical ideas to use assessment in your classroom.
That's right. Let's see the session plan. By the end of the workshop, you will be better able to assess students' understanding during and after lessons to better support their learning. You will be better able to design simple assessment tools that work for every student, whether in school or in college. And you will be able to use feedback effectively to promote students' reflection, confidence, and improvement. Dear educators, when we say assessment, what is the one thing that comes to your mind? Please use the chat box and write one word regarding assessment. Facebook Live viewers, you can use the comment tab to answer.
We can see the responses coming in, Chitra. Test, measurement, testing a skill, evaluation, exam to check the ability, finding what they know, check students' understanding, assessment equal to evaluation, oral checkup,
Wonderful.
knowing the kids' understanding, progress. They are coming thick and fast.
Great, great.
Most of them say assessment, evaluation, test, exams.
Wonderful. Okay. So, Prithviraj, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Isn't learning more important than scoring marks in the test?
Well, that is something that students also often wonder about. Just the other day, my 13-year-old daughter came to me visibly upset, and she asked me a thought-provoking question. She said she has had a motherly lecture, long motherly lecture about neglecting her studies, and she asked me, is it fair to judge somebody's ability just on the basis of their grades or marks? So this is a classic teenage self-defense, you know. So I told her I understood where she was coming from, but I told her that exams don't measure a person's worth. They are there to assess how much she has learned till then and not to measure her worth as a person. They are there to check her understanding.
Yes. Wow, this is an interesting way to convince a child.
Yeah.
So, Prithviraj, if assessment is all about evaluating the learning or where learners are in their journey of learning, The next question is, do we check during the journey or only at the finish line?
Well, this is where the concepts formative and summative assessments come in. Well, let us try to understand these concepts with the help of this graphic. Uh, as you can see, good chefs taste the dish very often while preparing it and adjust the seasoning, etc., accordingly. Formative assessment is something similar, where the test or assessment is conducted during the lesson, and if the teacher feels that the learning is not happening as per the objectives, they can adjust the teaching. On the contrary, when the guests taste the final dish and grade it as good or not so good, that can be called a summative assessment. In the same way, tests or final exams conducted at the end of the term or end of a topic that evaluate and certify students' learning are considered as summative assessment.
Yes, you are right, Prithviraj, and I think you gave a very appropriate example. Formative assessment is a way of checking how students are learning while the lesson is happening. It gives quick feedback to both the teacher and the students. This helps the teacher decide what to do next and helps the students to improve their understanding. For example, asking students to write a one sentence summary of what they just learned, or using a quiz with instant results to see who understood the topic. In the same way, summative assessment is a way to measure what students have learned at the end of a unit or a course. It checks their achievement against a set standard. For example, giving a final test after a chapter is finished, asking students to submit a project at the end of a term, or students appearing in the final exam. Prithviraj, I have another question. What are the unit tests in schools or the internal evaluation in colleges? Are they formative or summative?
See, they are meant to serve a formative function, but because they are always conducted at the end of some unit or some topic, and because the marks scored in them often go into the final mark sheet or grade sheet, pedagogically speaking, they are summative in nature. At best, we can say that they are periodic summative assessment.
Wow, thanks a lot for clearing my doubt. Okay, so, uh, all right. So have you ever heard about assessment of learning or assessment for learning? To begin
These
with,
days, we hear a lot about assessment for learning and assessment of learning. I wonder, are they somewhat related to formative and summative assessments? Could you please take us through that?
yes, Prithviraj, you very well said. To begin with, I will simply say AOL or assessment of learning is the traditional approach to assessment, which is generally carried out by the teacher or the board at the end of the course or school year. Assessment for learning, on the other hand, occurs at all stages of learning process. Students are encouraged to take an active role and they become self-regulated learners and leave school able and confident to continue learning throughout their lives. Let's see a quick way to remember it. In assessment of learning, we evaluate what students have already learned. It happens when the teaching is over for the unit or a term. Usually, total marks or grades are given after the test, and examples can be final exams, term end projects, standardized tests, etc. In other words, assessment of learning sums up the learning. Hence, it is summative assessment.
You are very right, Chitra. In the same way, assessment for learning is a way to support and improve learning while it is happening. It is carried out during the learning process. The purpose of assessment for learning is to give feedback to the students and to the teachers so that teaching can be adjusted. For example, there can be quizzes and feedback sessions, classroom discussions, peer assessment, teacher observations, etc. Now, since assessment for learning is forming or shaping the learning, it can very well be considered as formative assessment.
Awesome. That simplifies the topic for me. Let's have an activity to see the differences more clearly. Friends, look at the following classroom activity and decide whether it is the example of assessment of learning or assessment for learning. Choose the correct word for the space, either for or of, and use the chat box to answer. Facebook users, you can use the comment section to answer. The first one is learners make up quizzes or tests for each other. Now, what do you think? This is an example of what kind of assessment? Please use the chat box.
Before you finish the question, we had the answers coming in again thick and fast. Most of the answers are for and
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, you are right. This is an example of assessment for learning. And for learners to make up quizzes or tests for each other, they will need to decide the main learning points from the unit. All right, the second one. Friends, remember to use the chat box. When learners understand, learners look at criteria for marking and mark their own work. So what is that? Are we still getting fast answers?
Yes, we are getting answers fast, but we have divided answers. While most of them have started saying off, quite a few have said for.
Okay.
I also
so
saw if.
Yes.
Oh, it should be off. Yes, off. Most of the answers are off learning.
All right. Let's check the answer.
Yes.
This is an example of assessment for learning. When learners understand the marking criteria, they take more responsible for assessing their own work, which is an important part of assessment for learning. Taking the ownership of marking. Let's see the third one. The teacher grades the homework and gives it back to learners. What do you think? What kind of assessment is that?
We're still divided between off and for, but most of the answers are off learning, assessment of learning.
Let's check. This is an example of assessment of learning, and this is a conventional type of assessment. Like homework done by the student and teacher is grading it. The last one. The teacher marks the homework with comments only. Now what do you say? What kind of assessment is this?
Barring a few exceptions, Chitra, most of the participants are saying it is assessment for learning.
Okay, let us see. This is also an example of assessment for learning. When the teacher provides feedback instead of a grade, it helps the learner understand how to improve and move forward.
Well, this was a very, very interesting activity, Chitra.
You are right, Prithviraj. This activity is taken from British Council's free online course, Teaching English, Assessing Learners. Right now, this course is closed. However, it will open again very soon. I'll share the details towards the end of the workshop.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. Having said that, let's see some formative assessment ideas that can easily be used in the classroom. The first one is assessment by self or self-assessment. It is when learners take an active role in reflecting on their own learning and own work and progress. So instead of only relying on the teacher's evaluation, students are encouraged to pause, look back, and what they have learned and judge how well they met the goals of the task. Let's do an activity to understand this. Now, this activity is known as KWL grid, similar to what you see on the screen. Students make this grid in their notebook at the beginning of each lesson. Here, K stands for know, what I already know about the topic. W stands for want to know, what I want to know about this topic. And L stands for learn, what I have learned about the topic. Before starting the lesson, teacher tells the topic and asks the students to note down the words or ideas that they already know about the topic. Students can note down the words in the K column. Next, teacher asks them to write down in W column what they want to learn about the topic. The L column, naturally, it can be left blank as it can only be filled after completion of the lesson. So if you wish, you can take a screenshot of this. Now, educators, do you think this kind of activity can make the students inquisitive about the topic and they can feel more engaged? If yes, why? And if no, why not? Please use the chat box to answer.
I see right from the moment you shared the screen and the question appeared, there was a barrage of yes, surely everyone agrees. And we have quite a few answers of why it will engage students. It depends on the level. It will be better for group activities. It involves metacognition. Yes, because it involves metacognition. They will think, and this activity would work wonders. This is an active learning methodology which helps students. Learning outcomes are established with KWL. This is an answer that we have got, an interesting
Wow.
answer. Yes, it helps students to
Amazing.
understand the topic properly, and it will help them reflect. Yes. Students
Okay,
can reflect
great.
upon their lesson and diagnose their needs. So this will also involve some needs analysis, the participants are saying.
Wow, this is
Help them take the
amazing.
ownership of their work. Yes.
Okay, great. Let's see some benefits of KWL grid. You have pointed out many, but let us see some more. Friends, please fill in the blanks with the appropriate words from the red box. Use the chat box to answer. You can type the number of the blank and then your answer. For example, you can write one and whatever you feel. So KWL grids encourage dash learning and learners training because. Are we getting the answers?
Yes, we are getting them. Number one, independent. Now, number
I'm
two.
not going to tell, I'm not going to tell right or wrong.
Yeah.
They have to decide themselves.
Independent. First is learning, second, independent. Fourth, assess. Second, encouraged. We're not getting them in the order as such, but
That's okay.
three is own.
Okay, all right. Let's check the answers. All right. So the first one is independent, encourage. Yes, you marked very well. Own and assess. So they are also useful for teacher and learner to assess what's actually being learned in the lesson. All right. Now let's relate this activity with a chapter from one of the English textbooks. I have taken the example from primary section just for the sake of simplicity. Just a moment. I think, yeah. Wait, yeah. Okay. So as I said, this is just for the sake of simplicity. I have used the primary section textbook, but you can use it with any grade, secondary, senior secondary, or even the college. And some of you must be recognizing this book. This is NCERT Grade 5, English textbook Santur. Let's take an example from Unit 2, My Colorful World, the Rainbow. Participants, before moving further, please consider yourself as a student of grade 5 and consider me as your teacher. Look at the picture carefully. Now think about the topic, the rainbow. What all things come to your mind? Take 10 seconds to think about it. Now in the K column, write what you already know about the topic. And here you can use the chat box. What you already know about the topic. And here you can use the chat box.
Yes,
So I
in the
think
chat box, we have the answers coming in. Colors, rainbow, 7 colors are there. Rainbow has 7 beautiful colors. There are more or less the same answers from the Facebook comment section also. What is a rainbow? K equal to 7 colors. K, I mean, in K column, the student has written 7 colors. Why it appears?
So
how
I
it
think
is
these
formed.
are the words we were getting.
Yes, most of,
Okay.
more or less, yes. 7 colors, rain,
All right.
beautiful.
Great. Now in column W, write down what you want to know about the topic. And again, use the chat box. Want to know.
How it is formed? How does a rainbow appear in the sky? Why does it rain? What causes the rainbow? Starting and the end of the rainbow.
All right. Great.
Starting and the...
Something like this?
Yes.
All great, great. Now we shall fill the third column only after we finish the lesson. Now, participants, please come back to your real self. You can clearly see that the students have already started thinking about the chapter, the rainbow, even before teachers started teaching it. I really want to stress this again. This kind of activity can be used before any lesson. It doesn't matter if your learners are in middle school, high school, or even college. And it's not tied to one subject either. The KWL grid is such a simple tool that it can ignite the curiosity in just about any classroom setting. So, Prithviraj, you are in the college. Do you think this activity will be good for your students?
Absolutely. And why just for English students? It is used, can be used for students of any subject at any grade, even in the college or in schools, because this will help, this will encourage them to bring their previous knowledge into the lesson, reflect on, set new learning goals for them, and then reflect on what they have learned during the lesson.
Great. Now let's see another type of assessment that will give more autonomy to the students. Over to Prithviraj.
Thank you, Chitra. And I want to talk about peer assessment technique or assessment by peers. Peer assessment is a very fun-filled and yet an effective technique that involves students' participation. In this technique, students assess each other's work and give each other feedback. They don't grade or award marks, but just work together to help each other improve. Would you like to add something at this point, Chitra?
Thanks, Prithviraj. Yes, peer assessment is a great way to make students take charge of their learning and make them feel more responsible. It also helps teachers workload to be reduced.
Very well said. Yes. Peer assessment is a great way to make students take charge of their learning and make them feel more responsible. And let us see some benefits of peer assessment first with the help of a small quiz. On the next slide, you will see on this slide, you will see a quiz where you have to fill up the blank places by unscrambling the letters written in front of the sentences and fill them up in the blank place. First one is done for you. For example, peer assessment is a great way to make students take charge of their learning. Could you please, participants, could you please do the rest of the, solve the rest of the quiz? You can write the number and your answer.
So
Now,
Prithviraj,
Chitra?
answers
Yes.
answers are already there. So
Yes.
some of them say second one is responsible.
Yes.
Third one they say workload.
Okay.
Responsible, workload. So answers are just fourth one, yeah. So someone says effective.
Okay. And the fifth?
I'm still waiting for the fifth one.
No one has yet answered the fifth one.
Yeah. So one person says gradually.
Okay.
Okay.
And so these are the answers.
Yes. Here are the answers.
Responsible. Third is workload. Fourth is effective. Fifth is gradually. Now let us try to understand peer assessment with the help of an activity. Many of you must be familiar with this book also. This is an NCERT textbook of English for class 8th and it is called Honeydew. So let's take chapter 7, a visit to Cambridge, and it has an activity in it called which is where the students are supposed to draft a notice for the school notice board informing about something that has been lost or found on the campus. Now, the steps of writing the notice are already given in the book and they are self-explanatory. Usually, what teachers would do is they would ask the students to write the notice and then they would check the notebooks. I tried something different. After they had finished writing, I asked the students to exchange their notebooks and give feedback to each other on the draft of the notice by mentioning 2 good things and 1 area for improvement in the draft. To provide them with the necessary language support, I gave them a cloud containing phrases they could use to give the feedback. Now, let us try to do the same activity ourselves and understand peer assessment better. Friends, you will now see a notice drafted by a student and please read it. You have a few seconds to read it. Now, considering yourself as this student's classmate, you have to give her feedback on this notice written by her. Keep in mind that you have to mention 2 good things about this notice and 1 area for improvement. You are not going to give any grades or marks. You would just provide your feedback by mentioning 2 good things and 1 area for improvement. And to give you the necessary language support, here is a phrase cloud. Can you see this phrase cloud? This has some sample sentences or phrases you can use to give the feedback. You can, of course, use your own phrases or sentences also, and you can write them in the chat box, or the Facebook viewers can write them in the comments section. 2 good things and 1 area for improvement in this notice.
So yes, we are getting the answers. Could
Yes.
have been more detailed.
Okay.
Mention name of institute.
Okay.
Good things detailed, simple and effective.
Okay.
Mention the date and description of the article.
All right.
Need to check grammar.
All right.
Two good things in depth, all details.
Yes.
Grammar things need to be checked. Simple and
Okay.
effective. 386.
386.
7.
Okay, 7. Oh, so 38.
0.6.
6
Simple
is
and
area for
crisp.
improvement. Yes.
Yes.
Well,
Should
wonderful
have been
feedback.
in bullet
Good.
points.
So most of them could be highlighted. I can see a sentence could be highlighted. Could have added the color of the pouch. Okay. This is innovative. Covered everything. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So wonderful feedback given by all. You can very well notice that the phrase cloud becomes a kind of scaffolding for the students to think of the sentences to be used for giving feedback. Initially, the teachers can give them support with the sentences, and slowly students will become confident enough to give feedback by using their own language. And let us see some tips for introducing peer feedback in the class. Uh, so the first thing is that teachers should encourage students to give feedback in a positive and respectful way so that everyone feels safe. It helps create a safe environment where students feel motivated rather than discouraged while giving and receiving feedback. Now, gradually, another thing is gradually supporting learners to do away with phrase clouds and scaffolding will help them move beyond relying on a ready-made sentence structure and encourage them to think more critically and express their own ideas. By using peer assessment, students slowly will become confident in giving oral and written feedback because regular practice and guidance will help them build skills and confidence needed to give feedback on their own, fostering independence and deeper understanding. At some point, at a later stage, teachers can also think of introducing rubrics even in peer assessment because rubrics make it very clear of what the expectations are from the task, and they can help students understand what a good work looks like, making their feedback more focused and more objective. So, Chitra, any thoughts on this, or could you please take us through to the next part?
Yeah, sure, Prithviraj. Thank you very much. But I really like one of the participants mentioned sandwich feedback.
Sandwich feedback, yes.
Yes, very good. Very well said.
It's like a sandwich. Two good things and one
Okay.
alien.
Yes. All right. So the third feedback is, when students take part in self-assessment and peer assessment, they begin to own their learning by noticing strengths and areas for improvement on their own. Yet, the teacher's role remains essential. After students share their reflection, the teacher steps in with teacher assessment to bridge any gaps that learners might have missed. Let's see this through an activity. Now, the activity is called as observation checklist and feedback. Think of a time you noticed something about your students' participation just by observing them during an activity. What did you observe? Think about it. Prithviraj, did you
Yes.
notice something in your classes?
Lot of them. I always notice many things in my classes, particularly during the group activities. And I have mentioned some of them here in this phrase cloud. I once found out, I mean, there is often this case that there are students who always take lead. They use the new vocabulary, new ideas, and they take the lead. They speak well or participate, but they do not allow others to participate. They don't give others enough chance to participate. Then there are students who join in only when they uh, are encouraged by the teachers. So I was also amazed to see that some of them actually did well when they participated after encouragement.
Wow. There is so much to observe for the teachers, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, if you see, this is a checklist which teacher can use to observe students' participation during some group activities and can use to give feedback. Now, if you can see, there are many columns. The first one is student's name, and then there are the parameters. Participates actively, yes or no. Uses subject vocabulary, yes or no. Works well with peers, again, yes or no. Explain thinking clearly, yes or no. And then there is a column for teachers' notes also. You can have your own parameters too if you feel those will be required in your classroom. And if you wish, you can take a screenshot of this checklist. Now, while observing the learners during activities, the teacher can quickly put a tick mark in the respective boxes. And yeah, then those things can be used for the feedback. Now, let us see what Prithviraj observed in his classes.
Well, this is an observation checklist from one of my classes where I observed that there was a boy whose name was Anuj, and he participated actively in every activity, used the vocabulary, explained his thoughts very clearly, but he didn't work well with his peers. Then there was a girl called Rima who did not participate actively, and she participated only when I encouraged her. And she did well, used the language, explained her thoughts clearly. But again, because of her inhibitions, she didn't work well with the peers. So for both of them, I wrote different feedback in my notes. So for Anuj, I wrote doesn't give enough chance to others and needs to be polite. And for Rima, I said grasps the concepts well but hesitates to speak. This was, of course,
Great
these were
observation.
my notes. Yeah.
No, but this was great observation, Prithviraj. Thank you very much. We all know when the teachers are observing something in the class, they need to give feedback. So let us see this. What do you think, dear educators? What is the best time to give feedback? During the activity, after the activity, or the next day? What do you think?
Again, most of them are saying after the activity. A couple of responses with depends, during plus after, again depends, after or next day depends on the activity.
Great, great. Okay. Let us use this table to understand the importance of different timings of feedback and their uses. The first one is during the activity. Now, giving feedback at that time during the activity helps in giving quick prompts. But remember, too much may interrupt learning. This feedback is good for vocabulary and grammar correction, encouraging the non-participating students, or giving one-on-one feedback. Giving feedback after the activity, it allows the teachers to give short feedback in a more structured way. This is also the best time to give generalized feedback, as it can guide the entire class without pinpointing a single student. Giving feedback the next day or at a later day allows teacher to think and prepare a detailed feedback. This is good way to give personalized written feedback on projects, etc. Let us see Prithviraj's observation once again. So Prithviraj, what kind of feedback did you give?
This previously. Yes. So based on these notes, I gave feedback in the class. when I noticed, I completed my notes, I gave feedback, a kind of generalized feedback to the entire class, and I said something like this. I said, I'm very happy to notice that many of you were actively sharing your ideas, and that shows great participation. Several of you were using the subject vocabulary and the language taught, which makes your answers stronger. That is excellent. The way you are working in groups was good, but we still need to work on giving everyone a chance to speak, and teamwork is necessary, but it improves when everyone feels respected and included. So let us work on making the participation more balanced. I gave this kind of generalized feedback after the class because number one, I wanted to finish the activity on time. Number two, I didn't want to pinpoint any particular person. And number three, generalized feedback works very well in large classes or mixed group learners. So that is why I very often use generalized feedback.
Great, great. So
What's it?
one thing I really like, Prithviraj, thank you for bringing it here, that this kind of feedback, generalized feedback, is good for large and mixed group learners. Very well said. So with that, let's have a quick recap. Dear educators, do you remember what all activities we did today? You can see some visuals on the screen. Can you relate the visual with the concepts or the type of assessment that we learned today? For example, the first one was, you remember when Prithviraj told you about the noodle dish, when it was tasted by the chef during preparation and by the guest towards the end. It was the concept about formative versus summative. So for the remaining, please use the chat box to write, mention the number of the activity and your answer. Are we getting the answers?
Yes, they are coming in thick and fast. We will show the right answers after a few seconds.
All right. So here are the answers. Please check your answers on your own. Prithviraj, if I may ask, what kind of activity was this?
This was a self-assessment activity. You made us assess ourselves. You made us think on what we have learned so far.
Yes. So through this activity, learners can reflect on themselves and check how much they remember from the lesson.
Now, friends, can you reflect as to how confident you are in implementing the assessment ideas that you have just learned in your classroom? And to reflect, let's do another quick activity. So far, we have learned many things regarding assessment. And this activity is called 2 stars and a wish. You mention your 2 stars, means 2 good things, 2 takeaways from this webinar, and 1 wish that you want, 1 thing that you want to learn more about. 2 things that you have understood very well, and 1 thing that you want to explore more or learn about more. And you can mention 2 stars and a wish in the chat box or in the Facebook comment section.
So let us see what our participants are saying. Oh, 2 stars, AOL and AFL. KWL.
Okay.
Teacher assessment. AOF and AFL. Timings of feedback. Okay, great.
Yeah. Peer assessment, teacher assessment, formative assessment, language use, these scaffolding, these are some of the responses from the Facebook users that I just read.
Okay, great.
Chitra, do you have any reflection yourself?
Yes, so I'm not talking about my 2 stars and away. Instead, I am telling that this activity is also a type of self-assessment activity. By
Yes.
doing this kind of activity, learners begin to notice their strengths and the areas they want to improve. For teachers, self-assessment and peer assessments are powerful tools as they shift part of the ownership of learning to the students, making them more independent and engaged in the process. So here is a list of resources we used while preparing for the workshop. The first link is about the course I mentioned earlier. It's a free online 12-hour self-paced course. You will find lots of useful concepts and activities regarding assessing learning in it. And as I said earlier, it's already closed for the time being, but please don't get disheartened. It will be available again very soon. You can register yourself on the website and can find the opening day. You will also find many more free courses on the website.
Oh, yes. And the second link is actually an article which is based on assessment for learning. And the third one contains many practical hands-on activities that teachers can use in their classroom for implementing assessment for learning. And the fourth article is about both the peer assessment and the self-assessment. It will tell you more about peer and self-assessment, both.
Great. Thanks, Prithviraj. So with that, many thanks to everyone for attending this workshop. We hope you found some useful activities for your classroom. And I think
we would also like to let us take a moment to thank our Facebook Live users also. Facebook Live viewers for participating very actively in all the activities. We hope you also found a few activities that you can take away to implement in your classroom. And with that, we are opening the house questions and answers.
Thank you so much for that, Prithviraj and Chitra. And I completely agree with you both. This session today was very, very engaging. We saw so many people responding, not just in our Zoom chat, but also on Facebook Live. We've received so many responses telling us that they really appreciated the session. They found the activities useful. But in terms of the questions that we have received so far, let me just quickly ask you this one thing that I have, from a participant, of course, in the Zoom session. We have Meena, who says that, taking the chef analogy that you had shared with us initially, Prithviraj, she says that if we convince teachers, or rather, how can we convince the teachers and the school heads that, it's not just the complete dish or the tasting of the dish, but even its after effects that is important. Would you like to answer this one for us, Prithviraj?
As far as I have been able to understand this question, it is related more with the summative part of the assessment. So, tasting the dish is formative assessment where it is important to keep assessing the learners regularly. If you assess the learners regularly and adjust your teaching accordingly, you will automatically have good final results, because the adjustment during the teaching would ultimately lead to good final results. So I wonder if in that case we would hardly need to convince the school heads. I mean, if I have been able to understand the question clearly,
Yes.
I hope I have answered it sufficiently.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Prithviraj. And I agree with you. I think the school heads as well as the teachers can for themselves look at the impact and the benefit it has for them as well as for their students once they implement it more often in their classrooms. I think a related question to this, of course, that was asked on Facebook, and I think Chitra can answer this one for us. Chitra, someone over there has asked us, what is assessment as learning? Can you throw some light on that for us?
Yes, it's a very good question, I must say. Assessment as learning is when students take charge of their own learning by reflecting on their progress. You know, so far students just read and I know they just put their books and the notebooks in the corner. But if they start reflecting on their own learning, that becomes assessment as learning. So, if I take an example, suppose the students grade their own test against a certain criteria, and after that they reflect. Okay, they say we have made this mistake because the criteria is given. Yes, that is self-assessment. But if they find out why did they make that mistake? Is there a possibility we didn't understand the concept at all? And then it becomes assessment as learning.
Wow, that's great. And thank you for answering that, Chitra. One quick question, last one, I believe, because I can see that we are running short of time. Somebody on Zoom has asked us the KWL grid that you both shared with us today. Does that need to be done orally, or can that be done on a written basis? Like, which one would you prefer?
I would, yes, Prithviraj, please go on.
It depends on the class size. It depends on the experience of the teachers, the teacher concerned, I mean. So initially, I would suggest it will be a good practice if it is a large class to do it on the board itself and make a generalized KWL grid. You need not make personal case studies. That will give you an idea, an essence of what the class has knows and what they want to know, and then what they have learned after the lesson. So just like the feedback, it will be a kind of needs analysis in generalized form.
Right. Thank you for clarifying that, Prithviraj. And
I would like to
yes.
add just quick one thing here.
Yeah.
Yes, I do agree with what Prithviraj says. It is good for the teacher to know what teachers wants to know, what students want to know, and later on what they have learned. But I think for individual, and as we said, assessment as learning. So if we want to fulfill that thing, assessment as learning, then it's a good idea that students draw a KWL grid in their notebook.
That's right.
They can track their own progress.
Completely.
All right. I'm afraid we are running out of time, but genuinely, I thank everyone for sharing their responses in the chat, for being so interactive and so enthusiastic throughout. Before we can let you all go, we will request you all to share your feedback with us. We are sharing the feedback link in the chat. Please do click on that so that you can give us the feedback and at the same time download your certificate for attending the session. Some of you have also asked if the presentation and the recording of the session will be available. Yes, that's the news that we have for you. We will share the presentation and the recording of the session with you. The link for that has also been shared in the chat box. Right. With that, I thank each and everyone for their valuable time, for their interaction, for engaging with us. I also thank our speakers for the day, Chitra and Prithviraj. We will now next see you in December with our next workshop. But before you go, let me announce that for the next month, we would welcome you all to join us on 9th, 10th, and 11th October for British Council's 3-day online international conference, which celebrates World's Teachers' Day. Our theme for this conference is Global Voices and Future Focus. To know more about this conference, again, I'm sharing the link with you all in the chat box. You can click on this link and get to know more about how you can register yourself for this. Do take a look and do join us there as well. And with that, I thank everyone for their valuable time and for their responses. Thank you.
Thank you, Zitiksha. Thank you, Chitra. And thanks, Emma, and for your great efforts, all the British Council thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.